today is going to be a very exciting day. So let's talk about what we're going to do together today. All right. So our show is about how to make a difference to those around you. That's what our whole show is about. So every week we do a topic, or we cover a concept, or we invite someone who's making a difference and going through inquiries so that they can make a bigger impact to those around them. So that's what this show is all about. And so this week's guest, Alice, is going to be a total rock star to help us understand how we can build our relationships even more strong. So we usually start with an original song. And because those of you who come to my streams often know that I am a songwriter, I play music. I'm also, of course, a business and career coach. For those who don't know me and this is your first time to my stream, welcome. And that's why we have this program called Make an Impact. But I'm also play and sing music, so I will play you an original song. And then we'll talk about the core concept of all of our shows, and that is what mindset we bring to the things that we do. And then we'll talk about this specific topic of how to build impactful relationships and strengthen them. And at the end of each show, I also give some tips on how you can use what we've been talking about today to help make a bigger difference with your streaming. I call it diamond tips because it could mean more diamonds, but of course that's not what it's about, as you'll come to discover. Hello, Arco, welcome to the stream. TM, lovely to have you here. And Alice, you're going to be amazing, don't you worry. Michelle, welcome here. Good to see you, Michelle. Good to have you here, Marco. All right, so let's take a look. This is going to be our guest, Alice. So you're going to meet Alice in just a moment, and she's a healthcare professional that you'll get to meet, and she's a really inspiring woman and a lot of fun, a laugh a minute. So you're going to really enjoy meeting her. So let's get started with a song. Evie Possible, great to have you here, Evie. This song is called I Challenge You, which is appropriate when we think about the relationships we have. I wrote this song when I had a disagreement with a friend. This song was the way I reconciled that disagreement. Hi, Crystal. Hi, Kevin. Welcome to the stream. I know we've had disagreements, see life from different points of view. Sorry about that. We blame our past for decisions of today, and like fools, we think somehow tomorrow things will change. I challenge you to put yourself in my shoes. I challenge myself to place my feet in yours too. I challenge you, my friend, to open your eyes and dare to believe that we are all one. It's easy to judge the world around us, place blame on someone else. It's easy to find fault in another. For some reason, somebody's always got to be wrong. I challenge you to put yourself in their shoes. I challenge myself to place my feet in their shoes. I challenge you, my friends, to open your eyes and dare to believe that we are all one. There is one thing I want you to understand before we part separate ways. We are one team, one world, playing the very same game. I challenge you to put yourself in my shoes. I challenge I challenge you, my friends, to open your eyes and dare to live life. Yes, like we are all one. I challenge you. I challenge myself. I challenge us all to open our eyes and dare to believe and dare to realize and dare to live life. Yes, like we are all. Hello, Erin. Great to have you here, my friend. Iris, Charm, lovely to see you. Super hugs to you. Oh, it's great to have all you here. Vital, great to see you walk in the room. Awesome to have all of you here. Becky, thank you for keeping everybody up to speed with what today's show is all about. I really appreciate that. Crystal, such a joy having you here, sweetheart. Awesome. All right, so our show is about how to make a difference to those around you, and we're going to start by talking about the purpose mindset. And you're going to meet Alice in a moment, and Alice is a healthcare professional who used this work to get clarity of purpose, and it gave her insights into how she's starting a new job in about a week, where she's going to be working with people who have eating disorders, and working with people all the way from a young age. I think it's 12 or 7, or the young person, all the way up to 25. So she's going to be helping our youth to really be empowered around their eating, and that's really inspiring. And so she's going to share about her purpose and how that's going to help her really focus her efforts as a professional. But then also we're going to talk about this concept that I'm going to introduce you to about how do we have conversations with people that are important to us that bring us closer together. How do we actually understand others, especially when there's a conflict or disagreement of some kind? So we're going to explore that as well with Alice. It's going to be really fun. So first, let's give you some ideas that will help you understand the conversation that Alice and I are having today. So we start with this idea called the purpose mindset. And we say this is the attitude, excuse me, that you bring to everything. Yes, I have a little bit of a cold today, so we all just have to put up with a bit of a cold. But we bring our purpose mindset, the attitude that we have about everything that's in our lives. And this is really important, really important. And we have 3 levels of mindset. So we have this 1.0 mindset, right? 1.0 mindset. And Rum, super hugs to you too. Thank you for being here. The 1.0 mindset is sort of that life is happening to you and you feel like a passenger in your own life, right? And when we're in this mindset, we're focused on getting things done. We're busy. We're ticking boxes. And thank you for that favorite, Ash. One of the things that is a sign that we're at that 1.0 mindset about anything is when you think that the situation is out of your control. Now, okay, the weather is out of your control. Okay, I get that, right? The weather is out of your control, broadly speaking. But much of your life, there are things that happen. You can't control that things happen. But we can always control how we go about dealing with those things, right? And when we're in different situations, hi, Jack, welcome. When we're in different situations, if we notice ourselves saying, well, that's out of my control, or the way so-and-so is behaving is out of my control, or, we have to be careful when we say that. It's important to know what you can influence. That is really good and important. But sometimes we think that things are out of our hands or out of our control and feel like there's nothing we can do to influence it, right? Like we've exhausted the options. And when we're in that space, that is a hint we may be thinking like a passenger, all right? So that's 1.0. 2.0 is this participation. When we participate in life, we are in the driving seat, right? This is like we're participating. We're now driving how things go. We're focused on results. We're being productive. We're thinking long-term about our career. If we're a business, by the way, you saw in red on the previous slide, businesses that are 1.0 are focused on making money, profit-centric. Businesses that are 2.0 are people-centric, right? So they care about their customers and they care about their employees. So that's that 2.0 interactive, participative mindset, and that you are driving the future. You're driving the results, and that's really up to you to drive towards that. So that's great. That's a 2.0 mindset, all right? But then 3.0 mindset's really where we want to get everybody to. This 3.0 mindset is a co-creation mindset. You're the designer of your life. You think like everything in your life is a design, and you are designing it. You're impact-oriented. You're strategic. You take ownership. You're focused on making a difference, and you're purpose-centric. And if you're in a business or running a business, the business is purpose-centric, all right? And the thing about this designer mindset, when we step into this 3.0 thinking, we don't allow ourselves the out or the escape hatch that we put the onus or blame or cause of any circumstance on anything outside of us. It's not true that X happened because of you, but sometimes if we kind of look at what contribution do I make to the fact that X happened, right? That can be a very empowering place to look from. You know, looking at what role have I played? What could I be doing? What can I learn from that about how I can improve or grow or expand the impact I can make, right? That's a 3.0 mindset. It's true we can't control everything that happens around us, but we can relate to it like we had some influence on it, okay? So this is a really, really important point that I think it's easy to miss. So I wanted to kind of lay that out with us this week. So given that I've described these 3 levels of mindset, either at work or in some relationship in your life, because we're talking about relationships today, where are you being? If you're thinking about a relationship, a 1.0 is it's all their fault. A 2.0 is, well, I'm trying to drive this relationship and make something happen. But a 3.0 relationship is where you're co-creating something with the other person, where both your goals, both your intentions are being fulfilled. That's a 3.0, right? You're co-creating with the other person, right? So I'm going to ask you now, think of a relationship that's important to you, and where do you rate yourself, 1.0, 2.0, or 3.0 in that relationship, right? So everybody, just type it in the chat what you rate yourself. Let's see what we've got. Just type, are you 1, 2, or 3 in that important relationship? Crystal is being a 3, excellent. You're co-creating in that relationship. Alice is 2.0, 3.0, she's still deciding. All right. Matilda, welcome to the stream and the favorite, thank you. Michelle finds herself as a 1.0 in that relationship. Neritz, 2.0, great. Ha! Irish sees himself as a 4.0. Well, Irish, you're wrapping around to be 1.0 again, aren't you? Oh, you're great, Irish. We love you so much. Oh. Very good. Okay, so this is really powerful though, right? Think for ourselves. You know, are we being a passenger in our relationship? Are we just letting it, you know, it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. It can be a relationship with your boss. It could be a relationship with a colleague. It could be a relationship with anybody in your life, looking at how you are working, you know, how you being in that relationship, right? So it's really powerful. Great, Matilda. I'm glad you're here to learn English. You are welcome here. Thank you, Gerari. Thank you very much for the favorite. All right. So now that we've kind of got this idea of the purpose mindset, what that 3.0 co-creation purpose mindset is, we have to talk about this thing called purpose. Can't have a purpose mindset without a sense of purpose. So we talk about purpose. And we talk about this idea, and we kind of refer to the the example of a mug. A mug is a receptacle for hot beverages, right? So that's what it's for. And you can use a mug also as a pencil holder, but that isn't what it's for. You don't get to use the insulation properties and the cool handle of the mug when you use it as a pencil holder. So it may be convenient if you need something to put your pencils in for your desk. But if you wanted a pencil holder, you'd go to IKEA or someplace and you'd buy one. Instead, what you do is you put it in there because it's just what's nearby. And it's the same with people, right? It's the same with us. We have to declare what the world will use us for. And if you have the experience right now, like this mug being used as a pencil holder, where your insulation properties and cool handle, those potential you got inside is not being realized, then maybe you need to declare your purpose and start doing things that fulfill your purpose, right? That's why you create the purpose. That's why you declare it. Hi, Tyler. Welcome. Okay? So how do you create your purpose? How do you find out what your purpose is? Well, when we work with people, and you can do this on your own, you make two lists. The first list is your list of fulfillments. Those are times in your life when you experienced making a difference, when you experience, like, this is what my life is for. This is what I'm about. Okay, so those are the highlights in your life. But the other side of the purpose coin are your frustrations, things that get under your skin, things that bother you. You know, could be hunger, could be homelessness, it could be when someone treats someone like X, right? For me, it's when people tell me they're bored at work, or they don't feel fulfilled, or there's some conflict that they're dealing with that stops them being able to make the difference they want. That really irks me, because you spend all your time, so much of your time, waking hours, in work. If you don't feel like you're contributing to the world, that's your life missed out on, in my view, right? So that's a profound frustration for me when people have that experience of work. So when you think of your frustrations, think of those profound, gut-wrenching frustrations. Hello, Carlia. Welcome to the stream. Yes, Irish. I think that being a passenger, being a driver, being purpose-centric, we get to choose that. We do. Sometimes we're not aware that we are choosing one or the other. But once you're aware of the concept, once you recognize it, it's now then your responsibility to make a choice. And, you know, there isn't anything wrong about being 1.0 or 2.0, but there is an experience you have in life. You have a particular experience of life when we're 1.0 and the world is just happening to us. We feel like we have very little influence in that 1.0 mindset, right? So it's really helpful to look at it from those other perspectives, because it's not true that things are your fault or anything like that. But you could always explore, what can I bring? What ownership can I take here, right? How can I alter the future trajectory of things? That is something we always have a say in. Yeah, so I'm definitely a slave in my relationship. So far, I've been okay with it. Okay, so that's probably 1.0, right? You know, I take it you don't mean that in the bedtime sense. Okay, she doesn't want to take on other roles or effort. Yeah, okay. Well, today's conversation, Vital, might be very helpful for you then, because we're going to talk about, yeah, good guy, we just had to have a laugh, right? We got to have fun as well, right? But no, really, seriously, Vital, right? You can stand in co-creation with your partner and be exploring, you know, what do they want and what do you want, and look for where those things intersect, right? And today we're going to talk about active listening, because one of the things that we find difficult is really understanding what other people want. And that's what we're going to talk about today as a concept. All right? I'm glad I can make you laugh, Vital. These are really useful and inspiring ideas, but we also still have fun. Right? So how do we make an impact? And I just want to kind of touch on that in the world, we're in jobs, wherever we are working, we start a business, we want to make an impact. But sometimes as employees or members of a team, we have that lower arrow where we get the experience that we're not making much impact. And that gap between the desire of an organization to make a difference in the world and your experience of making a difference represents your opportunity to contribute and make an impact wherever you are. Now, when we talk about making an impact, one of the things that is a barrier to us making an impact, thank you, Ian, for that pterodactyl. One of the barriers for making the difference we want to make in the world is our ability to understand other people. That makes it hard, right? So this idea of active listening is really compelling. This is a tool you can use to begin to understand other people. And we say there's 3 levels to active listening, right? The first level of active listening is understanding what someone actually said, right? Understanding the words that they said. If you understand what they said, then you can at least follow the conversation and what they're in. Ryan, thank you for that fire. Vital, welcome, Nate. 0 inches pineapple hugs for you, Nate. Thank you for the rose. Tom, good to have you here, Thomas. You're such a joy, my friend. All right, so level 1, you understand the words someone is saying, okay? Now, level 2 is when you understand not just the words, and you got the words exactly as they said it, but also how they feel, what their emotion is. And that's really important because sometimes people say something, you ask someone how they are, and they say, oh, I'm fine. But you can hear there's a different emotion going on, right? So understanding that emotion creates greater closeness and allows your conversation to be richer and more relevant, okay? And then here we are, level 3. Level 3 is when you get what people say exactly, nothing added, not changing it. You get how they feel, but then you also get their motive. You understand what's motivating their saying those things and feeling that way. If you can get people's motive through your listening, you can then start to experience a real understanding of others. And when people think of a time when you felt understood, when you felt like someone really got what you were saying and really connected with you, it's a really good feeling. It brings closeness. Thank you, Ian, for those roses. So when you are in conversations, you want to consider, how do I bring active listening? Not just getting what they say, but also how they feel and what's motivating them. Okay, so now, when we talk about impactful relationships, if you want to increase the impact you're having in relationships, it helps to be 3.0 in our mindset, which is to say, get that clarity of purpose. Make that list of fulfillments, frustrations, and then clarify what your purpose statement is. And then identify an important relationship that you want to work on and use that purpose and your active listening to go to work on creating greater closeness and impact in that relationship. So Alice did this work and she did her purpose statement. She identified her important relationship. And today we're going to talk. Now, the person she identified is actually, she found out on holiday. And of course, we do the pre-work, Alice and I. So we've done this conversation to start with. So you're going to hear now what Alice's progress has been. Excuse me. But she hasn't yet had a chance to talk to this important person in her life because they're away. So we're going to talk about the conversation she will have. And then Alice will come back and give us an update on a future show about how that conversation developed and how it went. All right? So, Alice, please request the box. Vital, you said you can't remember a time. What does that mean? I missed the pretext of that.
Hi! Oh my God.
Hello, beautiful Alice. How are you?
Good. I am like I say, I'm super nervous. Like I don't. Oh, thank you. Like seriously, like I've been only a guest on a few other people's shows, so like this is like wow.
Yes, well, we're thrilled to have you here, Alice. You are a remarkable woman, and you look great. And you sound great, and that smile has warmed everybody's heart. Ian couldn't help but send a bunch of roses. We love you, Ian Steven. Everybody favorite Ian Steven. If you haven't already favorited Ian Steven, Ian and Linda, which you've seen chat in the chat box, they have a show here on Meet Me That's a really fun show. It's called, I keep getting it wrong. It's not Chatterbox, is it? No, I keep saying it wrong. It's an amazing talk show, and they have games and everything. It's nothing but fun. So please, it's on Saturdays. Oh, Chatterbox, I got it right. Yes. So it's on Saturdays. You have to remind everybody, Lena, what time that takes place. All right.
That's brilliant.
So, great to have you here, Alice. So we always start, Alice, with you just telling us a little bit about yourself, what you do. I know you're going to be starting a new job. Tell us a little bit about that so that everybody knows who you are.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Alice G7. I'm also a fellow streamer. I've been out of the game for a little while, but getting back on it. So previously, before the job I'm about to go into, I previously worked with people with learning disabilities. So that was whole range of spectrum. So anyone from ADHD, autism, like mental health, and a whole other aspects. We had a couple of Down syndrome that had autism, a couple of deaf guys, and yeah, so it's kind of different to what I'm going into now. So I left there because of stresses, amongst other things. It was a bit of both. It was the whole company as a whole. Clients were quite stressful. So I'm going into a job now that I kind of want to say is less stress. So the job role that I'm going into is similar sort of line of work that I've done before. It's HCA work, which is a healthcare assistant, but this is eating disorders. So anywhere between anorexia, bulimia, anything like that. But the two kind of come hand in hand. Gabriel was right. The ages do start young. They start from 6 up to 25. He was close, but not quite close enough. Yeah, so it starts from 6 to 25. That is the age range that I will be dealing with. So a lot of my work will be hospital-based and out in the community. And I get to work from home as well. So it means I can secretly stream.
Yes. Yeah, it's really great, Alice. It's so good.
At work.
It's so good that you're going to be doing such an inspiring job. It's so good.
I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait.
Oh, Ian, you're amazing.
Thank you.
All right. So now we're going to take everybody through the conversation that we had together, Alice, and as soon as I can find the clicker. There we go. So these were the 5 steps that we talked about, right? Which is make a list of fulfillments, frustrations, create that purpose statement, identify the important relationships, and then use active listening in your purpose. Okay. So let's start with that list of fulfillments. So just give us a brief overview. And as you go through that, some of those who are looking at this may notice that there's some bits in red, and the red kind of highlights some of the themes, the common threads that we discovered we're running through. So just tell us a little bit about your voluntary role and how and what fulfilled you about what you did there.
So basically, this was like a few years back. I had a friend that ended up being homeless, like literally living rough out on the streets, and kind of knew a few people that did charity organizations regarding helping people who are homeless, like in the typical, I know in the US you have soup kitchens, we have them over here in the UK as well. And it was mainly going out, not just delivering hot food to people, so a lot of it was quite late night stuff. So it was really delivering hot food, especially around winter time, as Gabriel can vouch for our lovely harsh winters that we have over here in the UK. So for me, it was giving something back and helping people, not just having the hot food, but like we got a lot of them in like YMCA centres, which are like hostels for people who are homeless, so they don't have to pay rent. It was kind of getting them back on the straight and narrow and kind of getting back into a normal civilization. And we did a lot of going around giving them blankets and stuff like that, pillows. It was just to make them, especially around winter, not feel cold. And quite a lot of people, and I noticed this a lot, especially in and around London, because I was mainly dealing in South East London, but we did venture up like into North London. West London is the worst for homelessness. Like, it's ridiculous. A lot of people are homeless, and especially around London. If anyone has ever been to London, you will see them, and they are everywhere. And for me, it was just giving that little bit something back to somebody that couldn't necessarily afford it. And I'm not condoning people who are homeless. They are homeless for a reason, through circumstances that they just could not control. And it's not all about, everyone thinks that everybody that becomes homeless is a drug user, drug addict, alcoholic. Yes, the majority of them are, but they are still people at the end of the day.
Yes, that's right. Matthew, those who just noticed more miserables come through the room, hit him with a favorite. He's my absolute favorite streamer on here. He's amazing. He's a top badge. He's wonderful. Please check him. He's got two wonderful shows here. A featured show called Pet Profiles and another show that he has called The Forgiveness Project, which is so moving. And he runs that Forgiveness Project every other Sunday. So please, favorite More Miserables. We love him. Thank you for the hearts, by the way. Matthew was instrumental in helping us put this show together in terms of connecting me with Meet Me people, Chris Casper. And so Matthew's going to be our guest next week. So it's going to be really fun. You're in for a real treat. No one wants to miss next week. It's going to be a blast.
Oh, I will be watching. Nice for sure.
Yes. So Alice, that's really great. And one of the things that we talked about that was like important in that is that you noticed that you wanted people to live fully. And so that outreach was really about, as you said, getting them back into society, getting them back on their feet so they can live, right? And feel connected to the world again, because when you're homeless, and those who know me, those who have been in some of my other streams might know that I spent some time homeless myself. And so you feel entirely disconnected from the world around you. And so you brought that sense of connection and opportunity through the work that you did in that outreach. That's amazing. Yeah. Now tell us a little bit about the patients. You talked in your fulfillments about when patients had breakthroughs, a particular breakthrough when we overcame the need to take pharmaceutical medication because they became well and they had the freedom to progress. Tell us a little bit about that experience and why it was fulfilling for you.
Okay, so the patients here having breakthroughs, it kind of related back to when I worked in mental health and like the severities of mental health. So anything it was like between like schizophrenia, bipolar, that sort of thing. And for me, the reasons why it gave me a sense of freedom and the progress, because a lot of the people that I came to know, when it came to them going back out in the community and things like that, for them, they like were doing so well. Like one of them actually, not that long ago actually, found me in Starbucks in Maidstone and literally said, like, I'm off my medication now, I'm managing it like all without having to use medication. And this is someone who like was paranoid schizophrenic, and normally with paranoid schizophrenia you have to stay on your medication because it's too much for the brain to process. So for him to come off of medication and manage those voices and stuff like that is an absolute breakthrough, and I couldn't be more prouder considering of the age that he is, and he was a young person, like you looking on early 20s. And for him to turn around and remember somebody who hasn't worked in that field for quite a long time, to stop them in a Starbucks and tell them how well he's doing, yeah, it was a sense of fulfillment, especially for myself. And it was like, I have never been more prouder of somebody to do that. I actually said to him, I said, do you know what? I've got more respect for you now than probably what I did working with you as a patient, because of the process and things that he was going through. He was physically and mentally scarred, which brought on a lot of the paranoid schizophrenia and mostly drug abuse.
Yeah.
But for him, it was the sense of freedom. He felt free to manage everything on his
Wow.
own and not have to take medication, which a lot of medication for schizophrenia is not necessarily the best kind of medication, because it does have slight class A drugs mixed in with it. So I felt really proud of him for, considering he had a drug usage before, it was really a sense of achievement for him to then go, no, do you know what, I used the medication, I weaned myself off, and I'm fine now. Was a real sense of achievement. And he's happy, he's in a relationship with a girl, and it was really, really nice to see that he is like doing so well. And I even said to him, I was like, if you catch me on Instagram, it'd be good to catch up.
Oh, that's amazing, Alice. What an inspiring and fulfilling experience that was for you. And, you
Yeah.
know, I know that your contribution to him was so fundamental, because that's why he remembers you. You know,
Yeah.
it's who you are, right? He took from the work that you did together,
Yeah.
he took the possibility that he could be free and progress.
Yes.
Right. And one of the things that you shared about, I remember in our conversation, was how people, you know, when people are recovering from mental health or managing mental health conditions, it's inevitable for most that there'll be a slip. You know, there'll be a kind of a slip back to you know, where the condition kicks in again of some kind, right?
Yeah.
And what you said was so important for you in the way you work with people, is that they didn't relate to that as a failure, as like it's game over. You know, it's like, wow, you slipped, and so, but look how far you've come. So remembering how far you come, it's not a really big deal to turn that around, right?
Exactly.
And I think that philosophy, that way of working that you bring to people, made a huge difference, and it makes that possible.
Yeah.
This extraordinary outcome. So really amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So now we talk about the frustrations, right?
Yes.
So when we talk about frustrations, for everyone's benefit, right? And for those who've just arrived to the stream, what we're talking about today, we're talking about how to get clarity of purpose. And to get clarity of purpose, which is to say, you have a single statement that expresses what you're for in the world, so that you can tell others, and then you can make decisions about how you spend your time in a way that fulfills your purpose,
Yes.
right? And so in order to get to that, you do two lists. And Alice, who's our guest today, which you've gathered from the conversation, she's a healthcare, excuse me, a little cold today, a healthcare professional. And so she was able to, she's been making lists of the moments of her highlights of her life where she experienced fulfillment. And now we're looking at another list, which is the other side of the purpose coin, the frustrations, right? And the frustrations sometimes for many people is easier to identify, because they just seem to happen more often for people.
Yeah.
So looking at our frustrations is the other side of the purpose coin, because those things that frustrate us deeply is our purpose talking to us, just like the fulfillments are. So let's start with the first frustration there that you've got about when people are moaning about their jobs. Tell us a little bit about that, Alice.
Okay, so this goes, well, for all my jobs, really. As a whole. Basically, it really grinds me, like when people who I've worked with will literally just be stuck sitting moaning 24/7, 7 days a week, which you're spending pretty much those time with them anyway, and then moaning about the job. And it's like, really? And it's like, oh, well, I'm not happy, you know, I want another job, but like, oh, it's not the right time. But the money's great here. And it's like, well, look, if you're not going to get off your art, excuse my language, you're not going to get off your backside and do something about it, then you're just going to sit there moaning about it for the rest of your time, and you're not going to be motivated to do something. And this is kind of probably where I like took the initiative in my previous job and moved on to a new job, because it wasn't necessarily that I wasn't happy in the other job, well, a bit of both. But yeah, it was because everyone around me was then moaning about it, and then I became in one of them fixated clans where I would then moan about it, and it was like, oh my god, now I'm one of you, which I hate. And I'm now moaning about a job that I say I'm not happy in, and I'm now not doing anything about it. So it was like, okay, well, I now need to like get my foot on the ladder and take that initiative and move on and progress. Like, don't get me wrong, the company, yes, you can progress it in so many ways, but there was never that motivation, there was never that push, there was never that drive. And I noticed that when other people were beginning to moan about the job, and it's like, well, you're now not motivated, you're now not driven, because the company's not driving you or motivating you to progress.
Yes. And
so why not that, just leave if you're not? And then literally all you get is the exact same answer. Oh, well, the money's good.
Yes.
Well, actually, no, the money's not great, but
yes, that's right.
It's so good. So you're nearly dead, and yeah, and you moan.
Yes, and you're illustrating beautifully what a 1.0 mindset looks like, aren't you, Alice? Driven by money, profit-centric, 1.0, drive, you know, in the passenger seat of their life, their job, you know, but they pay me money, so that's profit-centric. You know, it's all there in that 1.0 mentality. And you know that there's nothing wrong with being 1.0. It's just creates a particular experience of being alive. Yeah. It's not really, for most people, it's not really a very fun life. You know, it's the kind of life where the only reason you got up in the morning is because you didn't die the night before. Yeah. You know, and that's not, you know, you could do it. You could do it until you die. It's actually a sustainable life, but not a very rewarding one for most. Right?
I don't think I'm not the only person with that same frustration, because if I am, oh my god, I feel like a horrible person. But yeah, but it really does. And I think I had this conversation like with my parents ages ago, and my dad was like, oh yeah, I used to be the same. I was like, Dad, but you were tenfold one of those people all the time. So you've now contradicted in what you just said. So yeah. Really, Dad. I think you just actually contradicted yourself massively.
Yeah, that's right. And then you know, you found that you got frustrated of people being impatient in queues, and then you had this example that you talked about, which is kind of funny in some ways. So those who don't, I don't know if people on my stream know this yet, because I'm not sure I've shared about it in specific. But I did wake up to my house being on fire once.
Oh my god!
So I woke up.
Tell me that.
I woke up in the middle of the night. Right now, I'm from Texas, so I can't do cold, especially at night. I have to be warm, so I put the heater on, which is what people do. You put the heater on; it keeps the house at the right temperature. And we didn't have, in this particular flat, we didn't have central heating that worked. So instead, you had space heaters. So I had the space heater going at night, but the space heater malfunctioned overnight and caused a spark. And what ended up happening is it caught alight, and I was kind of relatively new to the flat, so my mattress was on the floor, so I wasn't on a bed frame because I hadn't bought a bed frame yet. Yeah. And so it set the room alight. It set the desk on fire. It set my blankets on fire, and some batteries popped. It's like fire, like popcorn. And that's what woke me up. And thankfully it woke me up before I was, crisp.
Burnt to crisp.
And, of course, I'm trying to run out of the place, and I open the window because I can't breathe. And what does your brain say to do? Get some oxygen. And of course, that's the stupidest thing you'll ever do in a fire, right? Boom. Flames just went from like big to like overtaking the whole room, right? And then I wake up my flatmate and say, we got to get out of here because the house is burning down. And he, of course, he was from a dead sleep. And then he goes, well, now, come on. And he says, no, really, the house is burning down. We got to get out of here. So I lost everything. I didn't have renter's insurance or anything at that point. I lost everything I had, right? Yeah. And of course, there was, so when you talked about this example of someone, but this particular example of someone causing a fire by malfeasance as opposed to just using a device as designed. But, it's just very interesting. This scenario. So tell us about your friend who had
oh my god, she's gonna kill me. Thank God she doesn't stream. And she's not on your show either, so it's even better. I did give her a heads up about this, and so she doesn't mind, even though she did kind of nearly bite my head off when I told her about it when I was telling you. Okay, so my friend, as there's quite a few girls in your stream, so they will relate. My friend stupidly had a extension lead plugged into a plug socket, and in that plug socket, in the extension lead, happened to be her hair straighteners. Little did she know, this was back at the time when GHDs first came out. They were prone to malfunctioning, overheating, which did cause a lot of fires. And so my friend, not being oblivious, literally she'd put her hair straighteners on a heat mat, which she was like, oh yeah, it's a heat mat, it's gonna be fine, which she didn't realize the heat mat that she put her hair straighteners on wasn't actually a heat mat. Because she gave me the story in full detail. I only got the gist of it when she vaguely told me down the phone, screaming, crying. And something in the plug socket, in the connector between the hair straighteners when she had them on and the heat mat, something, I don't know what, but it triggered a spark in the plug socket that happened to be the same extension lead that was plugged into the wall that then tripped that caused then the plug socket to ignite.
Right.
And so it was like a triple thing. This is why now I never plug in hair straighteners in a extension cable, because it scares the crap out of me that I'm gonna have the exact same experience that my friend had. And literally her bedroom, like, she'd only turned around and gone to the bathroom for like 2 seconds. So in that 2 seconds, her bedroom went from non-flames to flames very quickly. And she did the exact same thing as Gabriel, opened the window. She ran downstairs telling her parents, because it was in her family home. Luckily, they did have insurance. They had home insurance, so everything was technically okay.
It helps.
But she's never been, to this day, like now, she was like, oh no, it wasn't my fault, it was the hair straightener's fault.
Yes, and that's the frustration. It wasn't that the fire happened.
Yeah.
It wasn't even that she made a mistake, right?
Yeah.
It's that when you talked about it, she didn't take ownership of it. That was your frustration.
I was like, hold on. You're the one who put the cable, like the extension lead in the plug socket. You're the one who then put the straighteners in the extension cable. So technically it is your fault regardless, because you can't blame it on hair straighteners. You can't blame it on the mat. Well, technically you can, because it could be deemed as a technical fault. But you were still the one who did all of that. So it technically is your fault. You should own responsibility for it. And she was adamant. She's like, no, like now she realizes, yes, it was her own fault. Yes, she shouldn't have been so stupid. And two, she shouldn't have opened up a window.
Well, yeah,
and let
I
her
think
bedroom go up in
I think
flames.
that if you're awake, it helps. But when you're coming from a deep
Yes.
sleep, it's usually not going to be logic that wins the day. You know, thoughtful logic, is
Yeah.
it? And then just to finally talk about this last bit really briefly. Empathy is something that matters to you a lot,
Yes.
and you've witnessed seeing videos and stuff of cruelty
Yeah.
to animals, and that bothered you a lot because
Oh yeah.
you felt people were lacking empathy there, right?
Oh yeah. 100%. So,
Yeah.
like, I don't know if anyone else sees these like videos on YouTube, but like for me, it's a real like I am a pet owner. I know other people who are pet owners, and I hope to God they would never do the same. But like I've seen on YouTube, like a lot of really cruel animal videos where people have like left their animals in bags at the side of like roads and just literally ditched their animal. And it's like for me, it's like one I explained to Gabriel the other day that one there was a puppy and I love dogs. I have a cat myself. She's shown on Mom is Loves pet profiles quite a few, once. I hope hopefully never again. Um, because she isn't well behaved.
Oh, right.
But like for me, it was seeing this puppy in a plastic bag. It really like upset me, and it's the lack of empathy that someone, animal owner, a pet owner, could do that to their animal. I'm not gonna lie, it made me cry. And not many
Yeah,
things make
I
me cry, by the way,
understand. And
people. But it
when
really made me cry.
yeah, and when we treat things like that, right, it demonstrates that we're not having empathy. We don't feel connected to that thing,
Yeah.
right? And so what we did in our conversation for everyone's benefit, so what Alice has just done, if you've walked into the stream since Alice has been speaking, she got clarity about the moments that fulfilled her and the moments that she experienced frustration, the things that bothered her, and looked at what the themes are there. And you can see them listed here. She wanted people to live fully. When we talked about the homeless, one of the things she came up is that she didn't want people to feel alone. We talked about the mental health breakthrough with her patients, and they experience freedom and they feel that progress. And then it really matters to her that people take ownership of their lives, and whether it's their job or the circumstances they find themselves in, and also that people have that empathy. So through conversation and exploring how those could become a statement, Alice created a purpose statement. So, Alice, what's your purpose statement?
Okay. I am for people feeling free and being connected.
Yes, yes. And
Oh my
so
god, I was
feeling
sorry.
free.
Sorry. I
Yeah,
was like this light that just died across my face. I'm like, oh my god.
yes. Yes. So feeling free and people being connected. Thank you for the hard eyes, Nate. People feeling free and being connected. You could see how if people are free and connected, they do not experience, that disconnect that's
Yes.
around when homelessness is there. They don't. When they're free and connected, they can overcome their health challenges like that. That's what the outcome is. When people are free and connected, they're not trapped by money. They're not stuck in that 1.0 mindset. And if they're free and connected, the connection part allows them to be empathetic to the world around them,
Yes.
and be connected to what's going on around them, right? And even with your friend who was dealing with the socket thing, her head was probably floating around with lots of other stuff, and dealing with whatever life was throwing at her, right? And so she wasn't connected to what's going on around her,
If I'm
And
being
so,
quite
and then
honest,
of course the
Gabriel,
impact.
it
Say,
probably didn't help. I think there was booze as well in her bedroom at the time of when she was doing
oh,
this. So it's a little bit
yeah.
self-inflicted.
Yeah, okay. That can add a dimension and create greater flames. Yeah. Hi, Monica. Hi, Cam. So that's, we think about your purpose, but then we think forward with your purpose, right? Yeah. And we talked about the next step to building impactful relationships. You've got that purpose, people feeling free and being connected. And then what we did is we identified an important relationship where there are cross wires, and we practiced an
Yeah.
active listening conversation. So for everyone's benefit, if you're just arriving to the stream, one of the topics for today is about how do you build relationships that have impact. And we say there are 3 levels to listening. The first level is understanding exactly what someone said without modifying it in any way. The second one is when we add the emotion that they're feeling. So if someone says, I'm fine, you can hear that they're probably not, right? So that's the emotion side. You can actually inquire and have a richer conversation when you can hear how people feel as they say things. And then that third level is understanding not just the words and the emotion that's behind what they're saying, but the motive. What's the motivation that gives them saying those things to you, right? Taylor, thank you very much for the favorite. So that we call that active listening, because you're not just, like, a lot of times we passively listen when we're talking to someone. You know, they're talking to us and we're like, you know, and we're like doing stuff and, you know, like whatever. And that's passive listening. But active listening is when you're really keenly listening to what someone's saying, and to that third level where you're hearing what motivates them, what emotions they're experiencing, as well as picking up what they're actually saying. Taylor, thank you for that favorite. So one of the things that happens in relationships, right, is that we can find ourselves, especially in a disagreement, explaining or defending, right? Like we're trying to help someone understand our view or like why we do something, and so we're defending and explaining. We get stuck in that mode rather than listening. So what we want to do is we want to turn explaining and defending into listening, and then rather than, like, if you get asked a question, right, rather than kind of dealing with that question, you actually get to the point they're making and connect with them and create an opportunity for real dialogue rather than trying to defend and debate, right? And what this requires of us is it requires us to let go of the need to prove our point, of the need to convince someone. If we can let go of that, what arises is connection and closeness, because you're no longer battling, right? You're now collaborating, you're co-creating, you're 3.0, right? And if we think about your purpose, right? Your purpose is that people feel free and are being connected, and that freedom arises when you have that kind of conversation. So in your case, of course, you're having a conversation with your dad, which wants a relationship that you want to create to be even closer. And you know, we would have looked at a work relationship, but you're in between jobs now. So this, who else in your life would be well, I can bring it to my dad, right? So, so now just give us a synopsis of what the situation is with your dad, about the car. You had a conversation about your interest in buying a car, and can you just give us a summary of that scenario that we're talking about with your dad?
So this is kind of, I said to Gabriel before, this wasn't actually that long ago. And with me and my parents have been in debate over this for a long time. Basically, me and my dad, we're very very similar. In fact, me and my brother and my dad, we're all very similar in personality, so that makes us clash a lot. And like me and my dad, like everyone's like, oh yeah, I'm your daddy. I'm completely polar opposite. I'm not a daddy's girl, never have been, don't want to claim to be. I'm probably more a mummy's girl than a daddy's girl, because whatever I get with my mum. Maybe I should have her for the car, not my dad. But so I asked my parents for a bit of kind of like a bit of advice, and I had a car in mind that I really wanted to get. But the cost of the car was not cheap. It was quite expensive. And I'm very direct, like my dad. And I hit him full guns blazing, going, Dad, I want this car. This is how much it is. And I'm going to go get it.
Right. And I'm guessing that conversation became a debate, right?
Yeah, my dad's kind of response is like, are you insane? That's a lot of money for a car. the insurance is going to be high, your tax is going to be high. I'm like, luckily, Dad, it doesn't need road tax. For anyone who's in America, I know you guys don't pay road tax, but here in the UK, we certainly do. It's just to upkeep and maintain our roads. So they like, if just in case they're like, what is road tax? That is what it is. We have to pay the upkeep of our roads by that.
Yes, yes. So that conversation, and if you're on the stream now and you've just arrived, today we're talking about how to build impactful relations, how to strengthen them. And the key thing we can do is bring this concept of active listening, really listening to what people say, what their emotion are, and what their motive is, and let go of this debating and explaining that you heard Alice do. Say, well, no, I'm going to get that car. It's what I want. I can afford it. I have enough money. Da 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 da. Yeah. But of course, those are all true things. But that doesn't actually create a conversation that's productive and creates closeness, right? And you could think about it in your workplace, where you're having conversations that people are debating and arguing, and it doesn't create a conversation for collaboration and effectiveness. So, what we talked about is in your conversation with your dad, which you're going to have when he comes back from holiday, right? Is you could start with, rather than explaining, defending, when you get asked, so why are you buying that expensive car or whatever it is, rather than going into the explanations and justifications, you can just say, oh, well, that's a good point. The car is expensive, right? And so that's acknowledging what they're saying, right? And then I can see you're talking about how they feel. So I can see you care about me being happy, because that's really where he's coming from. He loves you. He wants you to be happy, and not being able to afford stuff and struggling with your money is definitely not going to cause you being happy, right? That's difficult. You want me to be happy, right? And you also want me to get a good deal so that my money goes farther, right? So like that's the motive, right? The motive is your dad's probably one of those people that goes for a deal any opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he wants you to get a good deal. He doesn't want you to miss out and overspend.
No, he just wants me to get a cheaper car.
Yeah. But he wants you to get a good deal. He wants you to make the most of your money. He wants you to be able to go far, right? And not struggle. That's really what he wants. So you can acknowledge that, you want me a good deal. You don't want me struggling. You want my money to go farther. And then what you could do is to turn it on and say, you create an opportunity for your dad to contribute. He says, so what do you suggest? And maybe he'll have some ideas that before, when you were debating, you wouldn't have had access to. You might get some insight, some things that'll trigger other things that you might do. You might find that, oh, actually, maybe there's other mechanisms like leasing or whatever, or some other idea he'll have that on contemplation, when you stand in what you want is a car that you feel great in. Maybe that can be achieved through some of the options being presented to you that will end up costing you less money, right? But you can't explore that desire, the real desire you have to enjoy a car and to feel really, happy about what you have in terms of your car, right? You don't get to enjoy that if you miss out. So this opportunity of fulfilling on your commitment to have a joyful, fun car that you like, and your dad's commitment that he can support you because he really wants to help you make your money go farther, because that matters to him, right? Both of you can fulfill that in a conversation when you open the door for your dad to contribute and you consider it, and how can I apply his advice in a way that still gets me what I want?
Yes.
What I really want. I mean, that car is a car, but I really want an experience of loving my car. So how could I get that experience through some of these suggestions he's got and see if there's any intersection? That's co-creation. Can you see that?
Yes.
And what difference would that make to your relationship with your dad if you were to have this kind of conversation with him? And then, when he comes back from holiday, when you have this conversation with him, what difference will that make in your relationship in that conversation?
It will probably reconnect a relationship that was once lost, because me and my dad, we've never been the best at communicating in many ways. I think it's just purely because we clash a lot. So our communication is rather not brilliant. So it will build a stronger communication, especially in our relationship, and it might make me slightly understand where he's coming from, and then vice versa. You know, so for me, it is going to be beneficial. And like as of earlier, as I told Gabriel, I'm not in a relationship, so it's like hopefully like these experiences as well can then also help me better into relationships, because then I might realize where majority of my relationships went wrong in the past.
Yes, yes, that's right. You could see active listening will come handy in relationships. It'll come handy at work, won't it? You know,
Yeah.
when you're at work and you know you are working with other people who are dealing with the eating disorders. A big part of what they look for when they're having a conversation with someone
Exactly.
is that they need to be heard. They need to be understood. Their motivations need to be clear and gotten from someone before they're willing to listen. So that level 3 active listening can be really handy even in that setting, can't it?
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Really great. You've done such a great job. So you'll talk with your father, you'll discuss your car goals again, and give him a chance to contribute. And by doing that, you will help him feel free to communicate and express himself to you. Not he's going to get a battle, and to be connected with him. Like being connected is what your whole purpose, what your whole life is for. You know. So, oh, thank you for that gift. Thank you, Irish. That's beautiful. Thank you, Irish. So, Alice, is there anything before we let you go? Is there anything that you want to say or share or invite people to or whatever? By the way, everybody follow Alice. Take this opportunity to gift her, favorite her. She's amazing. As you can see, she has some shows that she does that it's really good fun. And
yeah, which I'm gonna get back into the shows, and I'm re-changing the show that I do on a Monday, which Gabriel knows. For anyone who doesn't know me, I am a spiritual empath. I do a lot of ghost hunts and things like that. I will be doing one incredibly soon, so I may try and do a live with you guys on that, just so you can kind of experience it from a different perspective and a different point of view. So that'll be quite cool. I don't want to talk too much about it because the property that I'm currently in is one of those. But yeah, I don't want to trigger off anything. But yes, I do talks, I do shows, and I will at one point be doing a games evening just to have a bit of fun with everyone, just to up and change the content on my live streams. But yeah, if anyone wants to talk ghosts, come see me.
All right, Alice.
I'm not like Tom, by the way. I'm not a medium. I claim not to be a medium. I can't. I can't communicate with the other side, but I sense and have the ability to sense.
That's great, Alice. Thank you so much. You've been a wonderful guest. You've done a beautiful job today, and we learned a lot from you, your experiences, your sharing, and I think we all have a new perspective on how we can strengthen our relationships with those that matter to us. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on the show. It's been awesome.
Yes, very good. And for those of you who are just now joining, welcome, Jackie. Great to have you here. Today we talked about how you can build stronger relationships using this concept of active listening, which is really getting, when you're having a conversation with someone, getting what they're saying, understanding how they're feeling, and listening for that motive that they have that's giving them that to say and making them feel that way. And when you can do that, you can really start to understand others. And in this example, we were talking about having a bit of conflict with someone where what happened was there's a disagreement and people were going into explaining and defending rather than listening. So if you can let go of your need to prove your point and convince others of something, you can then open the door, starting by acknowledging the point, and then talking about what you can see they feel and what they really want, right? What the motive is, and then opening the door for them to contribute and communicate so that you can co-create something in that relationship. It could be at work, it could be in your life. Alice was showing us an example in her life, and she will come to another show to let us know how that conversation with Dad went. So thank you all. Next week, we're going to have more Miserables. More Miserables is a top badge, inspiring man. He's called Matthew. You're going to love him with all your heart. You're going to love him with all your heart. He's a really inspiring man, up to so many good things. And so please come here. We're going to be starting at noon Eastern time on Tuesday, just as we did today. So we look forward to seeing you all there. There's more right there. You just popped us a heart. So if you guys favorite more, you want to go to his streams, I promise you, you'll love him. He's absolutely my favorite streamer on this whole app. He's a wonderful human being, and I've got all the time in the world. He's become a really good friend on this app and in life as well. So really great job, Alice. You were magical. Thank you all. Love seeing you, and I look forward to seeing all of you next week. Oh, actually, I have 2 minutes left. I forgot to say the diamond tip. Almost forgot. So on our way out the door, the diamond tip is ask yourself, how can I make an impactful connection when you're streaming? That will help you be in that 3.0 mindset as you're engaging with the people. What can I do to have an impactful connection with these? Building on that active listening. What's motivating the people coming to my stream? Something to bring to your streaming life if you want to deepen that connection in the relationship you have with those that come to your stream. So something to explore. Have a great day, everyone, and thank you for coming to the show. And I look forward to seeing you guys all again real soon.